Now I'm sure after watching my Banjo-Kazooie video, you're probably thinking, wow, this guy can't get any more predictable. Are you sure about that?
Now, just in case you missed it, we're currently sitting in the month of October, so, I gotta do at least one spooky project this month. I'm pretty sure the YouTube law dictates that. But I'm gonna preface this now. I don't have it in me to do a full series, retrospective / deep dive on Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm so sorry, FNAF fans. And I'm so sorry to you, Freddy Fazbear. But instead, we're gonna look at Green Mario with his iconic shop vac. Let's go. So, Luigi's Mansion broke onto the scene in 2001 as a launch title for Nintendo's now iconic purple lunchbox, the GameCube. Brutal honesty here? This was an insanely ballsy move on Nintendo's part. Sure, nowadays, Luigi is super iconic in his own right, and a lot of people probably like him even more than Mario, but back then, poor Big Green there really didn't have a whole lot going for him, and in a lot of games, he really was just Green Mario. Games like Super Mario World, if you played as Luigi, if you were player 2, it was just the Mario sprite with the red swapped to green. But come E3 of 2001, because E3 still existed back then when we had nice things, we were shown the glimpse of the next entry in the Super Mario franchise. That's right, you saw it here first, folks. You're not getting a Mario game at launch, you're getting Green Mario with his trusty shop vac. But if you really pay attention in this trailer, we can see the building blocks of Luigi's budding character, such as the fear of ghosts and the idea that he's a bit of a ghostbuster. And there were a few references to this, such as Luigi's Secret Diary in Paper Mario on the original N64 just before this game released. Certain chapters depicted Luigi starting to develop his fear of ghosts, and even him realizing he actually had some fans of his own and he wanted to please them by starring in a game of his own, but of course, his name has to be in the title. Because the fewer people who acknowledge the existence of Mario is missing, the better, am I right? Now, when actually starting up Luigi's Mansion, oh, we get that spooky-ass sounding music. I like this. After vibing on the title screen for a little bit, we can actually start our adventure with good old Tall, Green, and Cowardly making his way through the woods to his all-new free mansion that he just happened to win in a contest that he suspiciously didn't even enter. Looks like catfishing exists in the Mario universe as well. Shocking. Once we make our way into the mansion and encounter a bizarre floating key, we make our way to another room with a door opening sequence a la Resident Evil. Aha, see, I got some references. I know what I'm doing here. Old Luigi gets ambushed by some orange ghosts, and I'm going to go on a quick tangent here. The generic ghosts in this game, I'd argue, are designed pretty good, at least compared to the rest of the series. I think they're the perfect blend between stupid and somewhat sinister. Especially a big fan of the big fat green one that attacks by throwing banana peels everywhere. But who should come to Luigi's rescue but one of the best side characters in the entire Mario series, Professor Elvin Gadd, or EGAD. This little creature thing is amazing, he's funny, he's got such a funny personality, he's got an even funnier voice. And he's overall just fun to watch. Like in this scene alone, him trying to save Luigi, in quotation marks, ends up with him getting dragged around on the floor by the ghost. After gathering their bearings, the Professor and Plumber retreat back to EGAD's little bunker outside the mansion, in which we learn some more story tidbits. Turns out, EGAD has been in this spot for years researching the paranormal, and this mansion only just recently appeared seemingly out of nowhere. And even more sinister, someone in red, looking quite similar to Luigi, according to the Professor, already went in, but he didn't come back out. Obviously, this doesn't sit right for Charlie Day here, so he volunteers to take EGAD's handy invention, the Poltergust 3000, and brave the mansion in search of his boy Chris Pratt. Quick little fun fact session here. Apparently, EGAD was actually supposed to be included in the roster of Mario Kart DS, but I guess they thought it was better to prioritize Dry Bones and Rob for for some reason. But more importantly, if you hover on the control screen just before the ghost catcher tutorial, you'll actually hear the popular music Easter egg, Tataka's song. It's always nice hearing this song get snuck into Nintendo games. Alright baby, here we go. Training wheels are off, you ain't no little green bitch, you're a big green man. It's time to start Luigi's Mansion for real. Gonna get this part out of the way. The gameplay loop of Luigi's Mansion is pretty simple in my opinion. You're gonna find yourself an unlocked room, go in, clear the puzzle, capture the ghost, get the key, rinse and repeat. One thing you're gonna notice though is that throughout the mansion there are toads everywhere. Apparently Peach sent all these little bastards here to search for Mario because he's been gone for a suspiciously long amount of time. And Luigi's Mansion doesn't exactly have an autosave feature, so if you do anything of significance or importance and you're not given a save prompt, you need to book it to Toad, talk to him, and save your progress that way.
Toad!
By the way, I just want to make this very clear, this little animated snippet I snuck in here. This is not mine, this was done by Scottfalco. Go watch his stuff, go subscribe to him, he's really funny, I like him. Okay, bye-bye, back to video. You eventually make your way to one of the main attractions of Luigi's Mansion, the portrait ghosts. Hidden all throughout the mansion are ghosts that were free from Egad's little ghosts portrait collection that he has for some reason. And these new ghosts have decided to take up residence in this new mansion. And these ghosts have so much personality and charm, man. All of them are unique. They each have their own dialogue and boss patterns to recognize, and I'd argue this is something the series has struggled to replicate even 2 games later. The first portrait ghost you encounter, Neville, is sitting in the study reading a book, and in order to even begin attacking him, you have to wait for him to yawn and make his heart become exposed. Then you can flash him with the flashlight and start trying to suck him up with the poltergust. You may also notice the ghosts drop all sorts of little pearls and even a few poison mushrooms. Now, disregard the poison mushroom part here, we're going to talk about the pearls. Luigi's Mansion actually has a pretty in-depth treasure system, and I guess this is my way to transition to the treasure system. Shazizzle! So, littered throughout the entire mansion is tons, and I mean absolutely tons, of treasure. There's things like drawers, cabinets, little tables, and by going up to them and interacting with them, 9 times out of 10, dollar bills, gold coins, they're going to shoot out everywhere. It's really satisfying, and it's constantly rewarding you for checking out every little thing in the mansion. And there's also a few examples of more valuable treasures, I guess we'll call them. Stuff like rubies, sapphires, emeralds, diamonds, and these are rewards for beating certain ghosts, doing puzzles, etc. And there is one ghost whose entire existence is to provide you with more money. The Speedy Spirits. Now, these little bastards, I want to say there's roughly 15, maybe 20 of them throughout the whole mansion. And you need to make sure the room that you find them in is still pitch black and has ghosts infesting it, otherwise they won't be there when the lights come back on. But if you find their hiding spot, they'll begin darting around the room, and you have to suck them up as quick as possible, otherwise they're gone for good. But if you manage to do so, you are rewarded with tons of treasure, and 9 times out of 10, a gemstone, like a diamond. The bosses also, like I previously said, do drop pearls, which contributes to your treasure count, but the bosses also have one more gimmick, the portrait ranks, which I suppose this is a good segue to talk about the boss ghosts of each area, so yeah, let's go do that. At the end of each area, you gotta fight a boss ghost. Area 1's boss is Chauncey, the big baby. After pelting him in the face with a soccer ball, because Luigi is just great with kids, Chauncey teleports Green Bean there to the boss arena and decides to go on the attack. So, the boss ghosts themselves don't actually drop pearls, but they still have the same gimmick as the portrait ghosts, the portrait ranks. In the case of the portrait ghosts, the mini-bosses if you will, if you can capture them in one cycle or get them down to, I want to say, 10 HP, you'll be rewarded with a big pearl signifying you got the gold rank. And I want to say the requirement for the boss ghosts is that you have to get them in 2 cycles or less. Somehow, I've seen some speedruns where it is actually possible to one-cycle a couple of the bosses. But another caveat is you can't lose more than, I think, 10 HP while doing so. But after you conquer each boss ghost, Egad summons you back to his bunker to unload your poltergust and turn the captured ghost back into paintings. It's here where you get to see your successes, or your blunders, seeing things like your rank for each major ghost captured, and I'm going to go on another quick tangent here. I think it was in the 3DS version specifically, but if you got something like a bronze rank, you basically just get like a rough outline doodle sketch of the ghost that you caught, but if you got a gold, you get this fantastic looking actual piece of artwork. That's a nice detail. It should also be noted that at the end of each area in the little recap thing, you also get your total amount of treasure. You're going to want to get as much of this as you can for the end game, and I'll talk about that when we get there. Area 2 is where things really open up. To an extent, this game is still extremely linear. But when I say open up, I mean something in the fact that the portrait ghosts, aka the mini-bosses, they start becoming less mandatory. For example, in the dining room, you're going to meet the big boy, Mr. Lugs. And if you don't feel like catching him, then guess what? You can walk right by, leave him alone, let him keep eating, and nothing will change. Certain ghosts in the mansion, if you catch them, all you're rewarded with is a treasure chest full of treasure instead of something like a key to progress the story. Other story beats in Area 2 that are important, you got the introduction of the elemental metals, and these are pretty fun. You got ones that let Luigi shoot water and fire from his vacuum, as well as ice. That one's not so fun, it's pretty lame, I'm gonna be honest. And we also got Melody, who seems to be the fan-favorite ghost here due to her little musical puzzle before her boss fight, and definitely no other reasons. The most important detail of Area 2, however, though, is when you release the 50 boos from the storage room, and now these sneaky little bastards have infested rooms all over the mansion. The boos are a bit of an inverse of the speedy spirits in that you can only find them when the lights turn on, and you have to have already cleared out the room, but by going into a room you've cleared out, you'll be able to find the boo in each room, and this is where some of the annoyance comes in to a degree. Boos don't necessarily have a stun cycle, so when you find them and you start whittling down their HP, they're still basically able to freely move, and if they go through a wall, you're going to have to figure out how to walk through all the doors connecting to each room and get to where they are, and sometimes that can be insanely difficult. But I will say, I can give this a pass somewhat because it doesn't happen very often, and plus, even the boos have so much charm and personality, man. Like, each one has their own unique name. You got stuff like Boo Jangles and Game Boo Advance. That's just fun. It's charming. I like when they do little beats like that. Area 2 has the iconic Luigi's Mansion boss fight, Bogmire. Yep, that sure is Bogmire. Okay, it's time to go to Area 3. Now, Area 3 is where some more of the plot sets in. For one, by exploring the backyard, you'll come across a well, and naturally Luigi's first instinct is to jump down that bitch and start making his way through a secret underground passage, where he'll find the secret altar, and, dramatic gasp here, wow, look at that! There's Mario! Your quest is over! Except it's not, because there's no way you can reach him. But it's not all doom and gloom here, because after making your way out of the well, you can come face to face with the portrait ghost, Madame Clairvoyant, who's actually on your side. She's not trying to attack you. If you find 5 of Mario's lost items scattered around the house, stuff like a spare hat, a glove, a letter written to Luigi warning him about the boos, you'll learn more about Mario's current predicament, including the ominous reveal that King Boo himself is actually in cahoots with Bowser, despite Mario having supposedly, and I quote, defeated him. The boss of Area 3 is Boolossus, and this boss sucks. I mean, Bogmire is just kind of uninteresting, but the boss fight is fun. Boolossus sucks. I can attest, however, that this is 100% on me. Certified skill issue bozo moment over here. I just had trouble catching the individual boos after you pop the big boy, and on top of that, you gotta use more of that crappy ice power. But, yep, that's about my coverage for Boolossus. If you like him, I don't care. Area 4 time. Now, Area 4, the home stretch. Here we go. We're almost done. This is where things start to get a little more bizarre. For one, there's the iconic portrait ghost and fan favorite Luigi's Mansion character Jarvis, whose design alone is enough to get a chuckle out of me. There's also the final portrait ghost of the game, Vincent Van Gogh, found in Area 4. This bozo is the bastard responsible for freeing every other ghost from their portraits and wreaking havoc in the mansion. His mini-boss fight, admittedly, isn't really all that. It's just kind of a gauntlet of generic enemy ghosts, although it should be notable, once you defeat all of them, he falls into one of the stereotypical artist depressive slumps, confirming what we knew all along. Luigi is the cause of artist depression. The more you know. Now, at the tail end of the game, I think you're supposed to have roughly 40 boos in order to make an impact and actually be able to unlock the final boss door. You're going to make your way to the secret altar and confront King Boo for the final battle and save Mario. But according to the king, despite loving the cries for help the Mario portrait emits, it's feeling kind of lonely, so naturally he needs a Luigi portrait hung up next to him. After somehow turning Mario into Bowser, King Boo flies inside the portrait, sucks Luigi in there with him, and we're taken to the final battle. So, presentation-wise, this fight already is badass as hell. You got this fiery hellscape, it looks like you're on top of the mansion, and the boss fight itself is really cool because just when you think you're already in a bad spot, a giant Bowser falls from the sky and scares the piss out of Luigi. It's honestly kind of funny. Now, Bowser's main attacks are pretty much just the standard Bowser nonsense, spitting fire, throwing spiked mines. I say standard even though I don't think he's ever done that outside of this game. But the mines themselves are the important part, because when you suck them up, you can shoot them right back at him and knock his goddamn head right off his shoulders. Yeah, apparently this isn't the real Bowser, but some kind of Bowser doll that King Boo is using as a puppet. But once you force him out, you gotta whittle down the King's HP at roughly, I want to say, 500, while avoiding a giant floating Bowser head with its eyes sunken into its sockets, spitting fire at you the whole time. Look at that. Really great final boss design that totally didn't scare the hell out of a younger me. But after sending the king to Kingdom Come, you swipe his crown because, as we all know, Luigi's the real king here. He grabs his brother's portrait and books it straight back to EGAD's lab. And it turns out, by sending a portrait through the machine in reverse, you can actually bring the portrait to life. So, after watching the amusing sequence of Mario getting crushed, electrocuted, and spun around in a machine, good old Super Red Wahoo Man has spat out the machine, and just like that, Luigi saved the day. Roll the credits. So here's where the treasure system paid off. Depending on how much treasure you get, EGAD will actually take said treasure and use it to build Luigi a new home. If you put in absolutely zero effort, you're rewarded with a stupid little green tent. If you do decently, you'll get yourself a little shack and then a little cottage, but if you're a real gamer and you get ranked B or A, you get the Mega Luigi's Mansion. That's the thing you should have won in the contest the whole time. Like, goddamn, look at that, that's so freaking cool. I love this game, man. It's the perfect Halloween tradition for a chicken shit like me who's too afraid to play I don't really know, insert super scary game here. I don't know where I'm going with this. But the point is, it's a really fun game, and I love playing it every year this time of year. And there are other ways to play it. For example, there is a 3DS port, which I'd argue might be the definitive experience, because it introduced a set of achievements a la a PlayStation game, pretty much. And as someone who has been really hoping Nintendo would take the PlayStation route of adding trophies and like a Platinum Trophy equivalent to all of their games, this speaks to me. Just please, for the love of God, don't play the multiplayer. It chugs like crazy. Jesus, I don't know what they were thinking with that. And then you also have the fact that Luigi's Mansion 2 and 3 are available on the Switch, which begs the question as to why the remake was released on the 3DS, because that released in 2018, and the Switch came out in 2017. Just another game alongside Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World and Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn, where I look at it and say, wow, cool, why wasn't this on Switch? But they also did just announce that the original version is coming to GameCube Online at the end of this October. So, hey, look at that. The Luigi's Mansion gang is all here. So there you have it. That's my coverage for Luigi's Mansion. I hope you enjoyed, and I'd love to know, is this game a hauntingly good time for you, or is it so bad it's scary? I do have a couple things I'd like to ask. You know, I gotta do the stereotypical ask for likes, comments, and subscribe things, but more importantly, I want to keep talking about video games, and I have tons of ideas in mind, but I'd love to hear from you guys. I already got one recommendation for my Banjo video, and it was basically saying, hey, cover the whole Banjo series, Tooie, Grunty's Revenge. That one was shocking. Nuts and Bolts. I don't have a way to play Nuts and Bolts right now, but maybe, just maybe, if enough people ask for it, I'll consider going to the dark side and buying an Xbox. But yeah, I guess that's it. I'll see you in the next episode. Okay. I gotta start thinking about what I'm gonna do for the next episode, though. solid choices. All ranging from Z to A. That was very subtle foreshadowing. I hope you look forward to it. See ya!